Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a subscriber share something with me that Mike O'Hearn posted the other day, and he's basically saying genetics this, genetics that. You still got to put in the hard work. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and yeah, the reason I wear the hat is because it makes me look like a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus. Bonus points for anyone who knows the reference. And extra bonus points for anyone who knows the next line. Post it down below. Now, you know what? Mike always does this. Mike O'Hearn always does this. Every time people talk about his gear use, steroids is just a word the lazy use to talk about the dedicated. And tries to dodge it and act like he doesn't do shitloads of gear. Act like he doesn't do fuckloads of trenbolone and maybe a little bit of growth hormone in there. Because he has that trend look. Same thing with genetics. We've seen pictures of you as a teenager, Mike. All right, let's not pretend that you don't have better genetics for muscle mass and body composition than the majority of people out there. You know, it's kind of like, oh, hard work. Really? How hard do those Belgian blue bulls work to look like bodybuilder bulls? Oh, they're just born that way. It's called fucking genetics, Mike. It's called genetics. And anyone who thinks genetics doesn't matter, you take someone with no genetic athletic potential and see how well they get a football scholarship. See how well they pass the NFL combine through hard work. You know what? They won't fucking make the cut. Because genetics rule in the world of sports. Genetics are everything in the sports world. I'm not saying hard work, proper training, all that doesn't matter, but without the genetic base, you are not going to be successful or near the top echelons of anything. Anything that is sports related or physique related. You're just not. Anyone can improve from where they're at. Anybody can improve. Anyone can be better next month than they are today. No one's denying that. Hard work can do that. All right, hard work can do that. But to act like genetics don't determine who's at the top or not, or that drugs don't determine who's at the top or not, come on, Mike. What the fuck are you trying to sell with this bullshit? Oh wait, you're trying to sell $700 duck eggs. I'm never going to let you live that one down. You're trying to sell $1,500 ab wheels. You're trying to sell training methods that won't work for people who are drug free. See, because that's what Mike does. He talks about blunt force trauma. That's what he says he does to his body. Talks about shocking his body, all this stuff. You know what? That doesn't actually work for people not on drugs. Let me explain how this works. What we've noted in 2,500 years of studying exercise science, back before steroids existed, you know, back in 2,500 years ago, you know what the Greeks discovered? That little tiny amounts of gradual progressive overload are what cause people to get bigger and stronger. People who don't have drugs, so they didn't have drugs back then, they figured out that if you just push the body just slightly further over time, and you just add a little bit more work here, a little bit more work there, a couple pounds here, a couple pounds there to which you're lifting, a rep here, a rep there, that if you do that long enough over long periods of time, that the human body adapts amazingly well. The human body adapts to small changes in overload over extended periods of time. That is actually the only way that people who are not on drugs grow and gain muscle and gain size and strength effectively with a low injury rate. That actually shocking your body and what you're calling blunt force trauma for people not on drugs can actually cause slower growth, all right, because it fucks up their whole adaptation process. Gradual progressive overload, putting in slowly, just building workload month after month, year after year, is how drug-free people maximize their potential. And anyone who doesn't understand that has probably never trained anyone who's drug-free. Anyone who doesn't understand that has probably never trained without drugs. All right? And that's just the reality of it. If you've been successful training in any other way, I promise you, you're using lots of fucking drugs. Because drug-free people don't adapt to that. They don't handle it well. They do best with just gradually and consistently over time, making them work just a little harder than they did before. When drug-free people push themselves to the limit all the time, or try to shock their body all the time, they stagnate. They actually make less gains, all right? And every expert who's worked with them knows this. So his idea of hard work is actual drug training, people on tons of drugs. And you know, when you're like Mike and you're using tons of stuff, that's why we call him Mike O'Tran. He has that tranny look. Of course you don't know how to train drug-free people. Of course you don't. But, that's the whole thing. Mike gets up there and he tries to pretend like it's either his training methods or some product that he's selling that is responsible for all of his progress. And he continually denies that genetics play an enormous role, because they do. And I'm sorry, anyone who doesn't understand that has never trained around someone who's genetically gifted at any endeavor. All right, they've never gone and played football with someone who is just genetically talented, who they had to play with on the same team. Even though they might have worked harder than that person still put in hard work, but maybe not as much as them, but they just excelled. They're the one who got that top scholarship. Why? Because of genetic gifts. Anyone who's ever gone into a gym and watched people who just half-ass it and still end up looking like almost physique competitors, who don't even know how to fuck the train, and who aren't even on drugs, they don't even know how to diet right, they don't know how to train really, and they just come in and fuck around, and those guys still look fantastic. It's called genetics. It's called genetics. And people who are genetically gifted oftentimes don't seem to realize how much harder other people who are not as gifted will have to work to achieve half of what they achieve. All right, they're completely oblivious to that. And then guys like Mike, who use hefty doses of drugs, don't understand that their training protocols may not work for everyone. In fact, if you guys watched Mike O'Hearn squat, all right, he talks about how he's squatted 800 pounds and stuff natural. I've never seen the guy even do a proper to-depth squat. Every time we see him squat on camera, it's like, 495, 585 with knee wraps and shit, and they're half squats. They're half squats. We've seen him half squat 585 with wraps. I fucking promise you that Mike can't even squat 500 pounds to meet legal depth without knee wraps and everything else on. I promise you he can't even do 500 pounds, because I've watched his strength curve and I've assessed it, and I bet Mike's maximum squat that he could hit under meet legal conditions, where we put a camera by his side and watch him actually hit depth, I bet you 450 to 475 is the most he could possibly do. I guarantee you that's his absolute limit. Yet he runs around talking about he's won powerlifting championships that no one has ever seen. No one's ever seen the records of. They don't exist. And then he half squats on camera weights that he can't even handle for full range of motion. I don't think so. I promise you Mike can't squat 500 pounds to depth. And if you think I'm lying, Mike, prove me wrong. I dare you, put a camera to the side, put 500 pounds on, go to a meet, go to any powerlifting meet, just enter one, and I want you to get your cameraman, take a side view and watch you hit depth with 500 pounds in a competition where they're real plates. He can't fucking do it. Again, you can assess the way he squats already, and we know that already. Yet he wants to run around and talk about hard work. Hard work because what he does is a bunch of forced reps on tricep extensions. But when it comes to the big basic exercises, he can't even perform them correctly. And he wants to talk about his hard work while he sells ridiculous ass training programs, while he tries to sell body part splits for drug-free bodybuilders and power builders, like powerlifters and bodybuilders. He was talking about his power building training. It's a body part split. You honestly think a body part split with a leg day and a chest day and all that shit is going to take a drug-free powerlifter and they're going to place well training that way? Again, he doesn't actually know how to train anybody who's drug-free because he's never done it. But you know what? It's okay, because Mike will continue to get away with this because he has an enormous fan base. He has over 1 million fans, 1 million followers online. He sells $600 and $700 fucking duck eggs and $1,500 ab wheels. And you know what? It goes to show you guys that honesty and integrity don't get you anywhere in this game. That being a lying, filth piece of shit who lies about their drug use and sells overhyped, overpriced, garbage products is actually the key to success. And if you do that and you're genetically gifted and you just smile pretty enough, that you will build an enormous fan base and you will make fuckloads of money. All right, Mike O'Hearn is the paragon of this industry, and he represents everything that's fucking wrong with this entire industry. And again, to deny the genetics, just like when he denied the steroid use before, that, oh, that's just lazy people say that, is a way to cop out his use. And then now he wants to deny genetics, like his genetics don't play a fucking role, like genetics aren't really that important. Wow, Mike, just fucking wow. And you know what? That's the scary part, is how many sheep will follow that shit and just buy right into it. It's fucking scary. This whole industry, it's not just the people who do this. It's honestly the fucking stupidity of the people who follow it. And it's just scary how gullible people are in this and how they will fall for this cons and bullshit all fucking day long. It's scary. It doesn't speak well for the human race in general. But, you know, a fool and his money shall soon part. Alright, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.